Welcome to the 2022 DeRose-Hinkhouse Memorial Awards program. I am Reverend Fesler, pastor of the Church of Scientology in Nashville, Tennessee, member of your Board of Governors, and coordinator of this year's DeRose program. The DeRose-Hinkhouse Memorial Awards honor excellence in religious communications and public relations, and have been doing so for a very long time, since 1967 to be specific. And though we live in a day when information flows free and wild, it hasn't always been that way. So this year, I wanted to tell you about the genesis of the RCC. And we'll talk about its birth in 1929, but every great biography starts with the grandparents. So let's go back a couple of generations to the late 1800s. For this is when the age of print became the age of mass media. We got the telegraph, the telephone, the phonograph, movies, and wireless telegraphy. It was also an age of industry. We had titans of steel, oil, and rail trying to grow their companies and save their personal reputation, while their unscrupulous utterances made headlines. So now, you have rich, powerful people with money and a need, and you've got rich and powerful forms of communication on top of the long-established print media. What does that lead to? It leads to the birth of a new profession, public relations. To be sure, precursors of this work appeared thousands of years ago. We can also dispute the roots of rock and roll, but nobody disagrees that Elvis and the Beatles set the world on fire. And so it was with the PR practitioners of the early 1900s, setting the world on fire, pouring gasoline on infernos in progress, and sometimes, like we still do today, trying to put them out. From industry to politics, through World War I and into charity affairs, by the 1920s, PR was abundant with youthful vigor, and certainly strong enough to shape the promotion of possibly the most important thing on earth, or I should say, the most important thing that goes far beyond the strife of this earthly life. And by that, I mean religion. This was the era into which the Religion Communicators Council was born. And for a glimpse into those early days, I would like to present a view from the archives. Reverend Wilmer Clement Fields, known to friends as WC, was a Southern Baptist minister, author, newspaper editor, public relations pioneer, and defender of freedom of the press. He was a luminary in our field, and we mourned his passing in 2018. Tonight, I would like to share a video Reverend Fields made in 1999. As the RCC became a septuagenarian, he took a look at its founding.
In the beginning, the main ways to communicate religious faith were the spoken word, ink on paper, art, and architecture. Those channels changed little until the late Middle Ages, when movable type made mass printing possible and allowed sacred scriptures and religious tracts to become widely accessible. Only in the early 20th century did the means of communication really begin to multiply. Even so, in the early 1920s, studies showed that many religious groups and social service organizations knew very little about how to use these new media. These important institutions and groups were overlooking amazing new opportunities for informing the public about their purposes and goals, their activities, and why they deserved a hearing, acceptance, and support. By this time, some pioneering communicators in religion, here and there, were experimenting with some of the new technologies in printing, news handling, and broadcasting. These innovators were beginning to adapt and use secular-style publicity. There were complaints from some quarters that these secular pursuits trivialized the cause and made it like a circus. But creative people were waking up to new possibilities for witness and outreach. In the face of such neglected challenges, 21 representatives of a dozen denominations and agencies met in Washington, D.C., November 27, 1929. In the Washington Hotel, a few blocks from the United States Capitol building, they formed what they chose to call the Religious Publicity Council, which made its own news in the next day's papers. they elected Herbert B. Rugg of the National Council of Congregational Churches as the first president. This was just 1 month after one of the century's great cataclysms, the stock market crash of October 1929. In that first meeting, the focus was primarily on working with one medium, newspapers. They emphasized religion as valid news. They considered such questions as how to get newspapers to recognize this source of news and how to present such news to the papers. They also explored ways to help pastors and other leaders prepare usable newspaper copy. In that first meeting, they voiced opinions on advertising, on how to make religious language more understandable to more people. They may have recalled the advice of an early advertising man who said, "Boil it down. When you've a story you want to tell, say it quickly, say it well. Don't talk an hour when 15 minutes will tell the tale and all that's in it." The new Religious Publicity Council immediately became a forum for such concerns. It was a small step, but a long journey in a significant direction had begun.
And so it is today, a world bent on chaos, with the people of faith trying to set it straight. And as God works through the good people of the churches, temples, synagogues, and mosques, so do He and they work through us, religion communicators. It is our calling to spread our faiths and the good works they represent. And that is the framework for the good work we present tonight. Now, before we get into the awards, I have a short video to show you how they're organized.
Entrants submit their work in one of 11 classes. Classes are organized into 3 major groupings. Publications are judged as a whole. For example, if a magazine article were submitted in a publications category, judges would consider the design, layout, copywriting, and graphics of the article. The content classes are for individual authors and artists to submit their works for consideration as distinct from the publications in which they appeared. Each entry is scored on its own merits. For example, if the entry is for writing, judges disregard any images or design elements which may accompany it. This gives creators an opportunity to be judged for their own work apart from other elements over which they may have no control. And finally, the campaigns group recognizes excellence in the planning and execution that is at the heart of public relations, the campaign. Written publications classes include periodicals, books, websites, and specialty publications. Audiovisual publications include news and magazine broadcasts, shorts and feature presentations, and other specialty programming like podcasts, vlogs, and webinars. The content classes are writing for periodicals, specialized writing, artwork, and design. Campaigns come in many flavors, from public awareness to crisis management, fundraising, and more. Within each class, there are categories. Each category has a category winner. This is a very high honor. In some cases, the judges found additional outstanding work, and that is recognized with awards of excellence, awards of merit, or honorable mentions. But the most coveted of all awards is the best in class, and these are the ones who take the trophy.
Tonight I will show the category winners from each category. The additional awards of excellence and awards of merit and honorable mentions will roll like credits at the end of the program and then be available on the RCC website. All right, with that, let's acknowledge the winners of the first and largest class, Class A, Periodicals.
In the newspapers, single work category, The Alabama Baptist, by Jennifer Davis Rash and Carrie McWhorter of Tab Media Group.
In the magazine's series category, Brilliant Star 2021, Volume 51, Number 2 through Volume 51, Number 5, by Amethel Parle Sewell, C. Aaron Crater, Amy Renshaw, and Heidi Parsons of Brilliant Star, Baha'i National Office.
In the magazine's single work category, The Christian Citizen 25th Anniversary Issue, by Curtis Ramsey Lucas and Danny Ellison of American Baptist Home Mission Societies.
In the newsletter series category, U.S. Baha'i News, October, November, and December 2021, by Joyce Lidoff of U.S. Baha'i National Center.
In the newsletter's single work category, U.S. Baha'i News, June-July 2021 issue by Joyce Lidoff of U.S. Baha'i National Center.
In the blog series category, CBF Blog by Aaron Weaver and Carrie Harris of Cooperative Baptist Fellowship.
In the Articles and Stories series category, boldcafe.org 2021, March 2021, April 2021, and August 2021 by Becca Ehrlich, Sarah S. Scherschlitt, and Emily Carson of Women of the ELCA.
In the Articles and Stories single work category, Bishop Asbury Still Shapes Church Today by Heather Hahn of United Methodist News. And the best in class? Bishop Asbury Still Shapes Church Today by Heather Hahn of United Methodist News.
With car keys in hand, the Reverend Bonnie McCubbin was about to leave her archiving work for the day when a box in a stack of old church records caught her eye. I saw a label on one that said Bishop Asbury, and I thought, that's not a closed church. The United Methodist historian put away her keys, opened the box, and began carefully removing the papers from inside. What she uncovered on September 29th was lost treasure. Documents that shed light on a pioneering bishop who played a key role in shaping what is now the United Methodist Church.
Judges said, well written and documented. The juxtaposition of newly discovered documents with the telling of Asbury's accomplishments was woven together in a compelling, interesting manner. Let's hear from Heather.
Well, I absolutely want to thank my Julie Dwyer, who's my editor, and Tim Tanton, who is actually the supervisor for our whole team, and they both okayed this assignment. And I also want to give a very special thank you to a person who's featured in this story, Reverend Bonnie McCubbin, whose love of history and love of the United Methodist Church is entirely infectious. She is the person who found the documents that I feature throughout the story, and she's just an inspiration. So thank you. I find history fascinating, and I think other people do too. And this was kind of a big deal. Francis Asbury, of course, the reason why we did the story was because this was the 250th anniversary of his crossing from Britain to crossing the Atlantic from Britain to what would eventually become the United States, but wasn't at the time. He was here through the Revolutionary War. He basically had to hide out. And then he basically organized what is now the United Methodist Church, which is the second largest Protestant denomination in the United States. It has 13 million members worldwide. And he influences the way we do things today. RCC has been extremely helpful for me to have connections across my area in Nashville, where we have a pretty active RCC chapter, and just the resources it provides to help me do my job better, I am very grateful for. So I just wanted to do a shout out for RCC in general. Thank you. RCC is totally worth to be part of. As someone who now works for the United Methodist Church, but prior to this covered religion for secular newspapers, I appreciate the opportunity to continue to work with different people in different traditions and continue to keep that contact, which frankly, my current day-to-day job, I don't always get to do. So that is a nice, expansive connection, and I'm very grateful for it. So thank you.
On to the books class, and we have 2 category winners. In the nonfiction for adults single work category, Friends Place on Capitol Hill, Promoting Civic Engagement by Adlai J. Amore and Wesley Wolfbear Pinkham of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
In the nonfiction for youth single work category, Hazel Scott, A Woman, a Piano, and a Commitment to Justice by Susan Engel of National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States.
And the best in class? Friends Place on Capitol Hill, Promoting Civic Engagement by Adlai J. Amore, Wesley Wolfbear Pinkham of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
Friends Place is a learning center and guest house that has advanced peace, justice, and environmental stewardship for more than a half a century. As a Quaker witness on Capitol Hill, Friends Place is steeped in the history of its predecessor, William Penn House. With the reopening of Friends Place on Capitol Hill, the Friends Committee on National Legislation Education Fund is writing a new chapter of Quaker advocacy with an old partner.
Judges said, "The design and layout are not just pleasing, but directly relate to and contribute to the message. It's a wonderfully laid out history of Friends Place on Capitol Hill, curated from years of work." And now, a few words from Adlai.
First of all, let me thank the RCC Board of Judges for this honor that you have given. This really is a delightful award. I've not received this kind of award in quite some time, but this would not have been possible without the actual book author, Carl Abbott, who wrote the manuscript for the book on Friends Place, and also the contribution of Wesley Pinkham, our visual arts director, who designed the book. I acted as sort of the overall project manager, project editor for the book, and I'm very pleased that the book came out as it did. Oftentimes, we labor under in the quietness of our offices or in our organizations. So the DeRose-Hinkhouse Awards are very good external validators from our peers in terms of the work that we do. So it plays that very distinctive and very affirmative role for people like me, members of RCC, who often labor quietly for the organizations that we work with. I would encourage people who are looking at this video to actually renew your membership, grab a friend and make them members too, and then participate as enthusiastically as we have at FCNL in these awards. These are really fun, affirmatory celebrations for us when we win the award. But the process of application itself helps will help you actually review your work and put it in the context of work that has been done by your peers in other organizations. So go ahead and enroll in the awards next year and become a member of RCC. Renew your membership first and then enroll in the awards next year.
The website class also has 2 category winners. In the organizational single work category, Brilliant Star Online by Amethel Parle Sewell, C. Aaron Crater, Amy Renshaw, and Heidi Parsons of Brilliant Star, Baha'i National Office.
In the topical single work category, Dismantling Racism by Wesley Wolfbear Pinkham, Jesse Palatucci, and Alex Franson of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
And the best in class? Brilliant Star Online by Amethel Parle Sewell, C. Aaron Crater, Amy Renshaw, and Heidi Parsons of Brilliant Star, the Baha'i National Office. Judges said, "The carrying over of the original artwork across the design is so engaging. There are so many wonderful choices on the page, this judge can see young people coming back again and again to try the next thing. Keep up the good work. This is an awesome site that perfectly blends education, discovery, and faith." Tonight we hear from Amy Renshaw.
We'd like to thank our editor-in-chief at Brilliant Star, Amethel Parle Sewell, our illustrators, C. Aaron Crater, Heidi Parsons, Foad Gorbani, Lisa Blecker, Katie Bishop, Darcy Greenwood, Donna Price, and Dr. Stephen Scotty, our STEM education advisor. And also, we have so much appreciation for the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is, who make our work possible, and our longtime web development partners who do an excellent job. That's Studio Pax in Evanston, and also the IT department at the Baha'i National Office. Brilliant Star Online is the online complement to our magazine, Brilliant Star. And we feel like Brilliant Star Online is kind of special because There's so many platforms competing for kids and attention these days. And Brilliant Star offers a safe and informative and fun online world with no commercialism. And it has a lot to offer, videos and games and 50 issues of the magazine. And the other thing that makes it different is it emphasizes spiritual development. So along with encouraging kids to be world citizens and use their virtues to be of service to the world, we also are encouraging kids to develop their qualities of patience and love and friendship. We've been a part of the RCC since 2004, and we really appreciate the camaraderie, the support, the commitment to excellence among all the members of the RCC. Over the years, we've developed relationships with people and learned a lot. And the DeRose-Hinkhouse Awards, they're assigned to our colleagues and our audience and our stakeholders that our work has value and impact. And since, creative work can be so subjective, it's really helpful to have that confirmation from outside of our organization that we're doing good work. So, and the other thing is, it really encourages our team to keep going. Today, there's so much conflict and unrest in the world, and a lot of it is around religion. And we're happy to be part of an organization that supports harmony and friendship among religions. And I think with all the conflict in the world today, the work we're doing as faith communicators is more important than ever, and it really does make a difference. When we see the work that's done by the other members of RCC, we are truly inspired. There's a teaching in the Baha'i faith that is consort with the followers of all religions in a spirit of friendliness and fellowship. And RCC gives us an opportunity to do that, and we really deeply appreciate it.
There are 3 category winners in the Specialty Publications class.
In the Annual Report Single Work category, FCNL Fiscal Year 21 Annual Report, Hope and Gratitude, by Adlai J. Amore and Wesley Wolfbear Pinkham, of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
In the booklet's Single Work category, We Are Covenant Community, by Greengate Marketing.
In the other Single Work category, General Secretary Position Profile, by Adlai J. Amore and Wesley Wolfbear Pinkham, of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
And the best in class? General Secretary Position Profile, by Adlai J. Amore and Wesley Wolfbear Pinkham, of Friends Committee on National Legislation. Judges said, wow, every job description should be so, descriptive. Not only in words, but in capturing the spirit of the position with photos. Well done. Handing this to candidates not only answers the basic job-related questions, but puts the position in historic and contemporary context. I found this to be an excellent presentation and writing sample that would help attract a candidate of quality to the leadership position. Let us hear from Wesley Wolfbear Pinkham.
There's a big team that goes into transitioning an organization after 10 years of leadership under a general secretary. And so this project and this product was sort of the tip of the iceberg of a big system that went into that hiring process. So certainly the nominating committee behind the role, there were 8 participants in that nominating committee that had the hard job of finding a suitable transition replacement for our general secretary. That was a great group of diverse community members and board members that went into that role. And then, of course, editing with Adlai Amore and Eric Bond and all of the great photography that was part of that. And everyone that reviewed it from the development team, and it definitely takes a village. We've had an immense amount of stability in the organizational leadership at the Friends Committee on National Legislation. And so this role and this product was aspirational to call in and to create space for the kinds of candidates that could lead us into the next 10 or more years. Over the course of FCNL's 78 years, we've only had, I believe it's 4 general secretaries. So we've had a lot of stability. And so making sure that this product conveyed the seriousness and the foundational depth of this role was important. The DeRose-Hinkhouse Awards help us to connect with the religious communication ethos, mythos, and best practices. So we participate both as entrants and as judges, and on both sides, receiving feedback and giving feedback helps FCNL continue to do the best work that it can and take inspiration and some healthy competition amongst our shared leaders in the faith space.
The News and Magazine's broadcast class has 4 category winners. In the radio single work category, What to Expect from the New Congress by Tim McHugh of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
In the TV single work category, Air, Land, and Sea, Gifu, Japan's Native Son, Chuni Shugahara, by Brad Pomerantz, Danny O'Brien, and Kevin Wegener of Jewish Life Television.
In the webcast series category, Between Two Pulpits by Lauren W. Rogers of Presbyterian Mission Agency.
In the webcast single work category, Special Report, Crisis in Afghanistan by Jennifer Davis Rash of Tab Media Group.
And the best in class? Air, Land, and Sea, Gifu, Japan's Native Son, Chuni Shugahara, by Brad Pomerantz, Danny O'Brien, and Kevin Wegener of Jewish Life Television, JLTV.
Set among the breathtaking natural landscapes in the middle of Japan, the prefecture or state of Gifu is easily accessible from Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka, about 1 to 2 hours by train. And in the southern section of Gifu sits the charming town of Yaeyatsu. Now, but for the immensely heroic acts of one of Yaeyatsu's native sons, the lives of over 6,000 Jews would likely have been lost during the Holocaust. So please join us as we travel by air, land, and sea to gorgeous Gifu, Japan, to uncover the life and times of one of Gifu's greatest, Chiune Sugihara.
Judges said, "Fantastic story, amazing graphics and music, great variety of location and voices. This is a stunningly awesome work. The construction of the story is fantastic. This piece reinforces the oneness of humanity in a very real way, and that is its power." Let's hear from Brad Pomerantz.
Well, first, we at JLTV, Jewish Life Television, would like to thank the Religion Communicators Council for this honor. We are such great supporters of this organization, an organization that brings different faiths together, and we're glad to be a part of it. We would love to be able to thank Gifu, Japan, who were wonderful hosts of our trip. And of course, we thank Chiune Sugihara, who is no longer with us. He was the Japanese diplomat that we discussed in this video, that against all odds and against the orders of his government, still wrote over 6,000 visas to save Eastern European Jews fleeing from Nazi Germany. So we thank him, and there are tens of thousands of descendants alive of the Jewish faith because of his efforts. So Air, Land, and Sea is our global travel series here at Jewish Life Television, and it's historically based. And there simply was something about the work of a Japanese diplomat during World War II that was so incredibly moving and touching that we thought it would appeal to people of all faiths. We also shot it, interestingly, just as the COVID pandemic was starting. And so even though you don't know that in the piece, there was something at some level triumphant about it that we were able to pull that off. Just like it was remarkable that Chiune Sugihara was able to pull off the issuance of 6,000 visas to Eastern European Jews in the height of World War II. In connecting with RCC and DeRose-Hinkhouse, it just reminds us that we are telling stories of faith that impact people of all faiths. And I think it's improved our storytelling in a lot of ways because it reminds us that our audience is not just Jews, but people of faith and people maybe not of faith. And so we appreciate that subtle reminder through RCC. Here at Jewish Life Television, we are so appreciative of the work that you do. It is such a unique organization that unifies religious communicators, which is really kind of a subset of the religious community. I've also been honored to be a judge, obviously not for anything in our category, and have just watched some really outstanding work outside of the Jewish community. And it's just so great to see all these different communities of faith connecting with their own membership and people outside of their faith. And so I salute RCC, I honor RCC, and I am so glad that we have a chance to be a small part of the RCC community.
We had many entries in our shorts and feature presentations class this year. Here are your category winners. In the audio, commercial, or PSA single word category, War Has Never Been and Will Never Be the Answer by Adlai J. Amore of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
In the video, commercial, or PSA single word category, join us at Spring Lobby Weekend by Wesley Wolfbear Pinkham of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
In the video, promotional or informational single word category, Beeson Divinity School's Community In-Person Education, A Gift by Kristen Padilla and Nathan Troost of Beeson Divinity School of Samford University.
In the video, entertainment or inspirational single word category, Creation Prayer Service by Kathy Williams and Bernie Mudd White of Ursuline Sisters of Louisville.
In the video, documentary or educational series category, Rich Tapestry Series, Minneapolis, Playing a Humble Part by Alan Hatchett of U.S. Baha'i National Center.
In the video, documentary or educational single word category, How to Build a Relationship with Your Members of Congress by Wesley Wolfbear Pinkham of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
And the best in class? Beeson Divinity School's Community In-Person Education, A Gift by Kristen Padilla and Nathan Troost of Beeson Divinity School of Samford University.
Honestly, I wake up thanking God. This is like a gift, it genuinely is a gift. First of all, we're learning from world-renowned professors here. These are people who have literally written books on the subjects that they're teaching, the textbooks that we're reading, and then a lot of it being so practical for pastoral ministry.
Beeson's curriculum really is built for in-person learning. My relationship with my professors has been one of the most integral parts of learning at Beeson. The small class sizes really allow us to get to know our professors, but even more than that, for the professors to get to know us as students.
Previously, I had done a master's in education before I had children, and it was a hybrid mix of in-person and online classes, which was okay, but it wasn't great. So the fact that Beeson is in person really meant a lot to me, that I was going to be able to ask a question and have it answered right then.
It's almost like going to church online and then church in person. You can do church online, but there's something about being in corporate worship that, shapes you.
Judges said, "Beautifully shot, effective use of music bed. I could feel that deep impact of Beeson on the students. Overall, a wonderful and inspiring piece. If I were a theology student looking for a school, I would definitely consider this campus." Tonight, we'll hear from Kristen.
Our videographer, Nathan Troost, is someone I would like to thank. Of course, we could not have created this video without him. He has been an excellent partner in this work, collaborator, and I owe him a lot of thanks and gratitude for his work on this project. I thought that this video not only was wonderfully executed by our videographer, but really told a story that this year of all years I thought would resonate the most. still living through a pandemic. We are, at least to my experience and knowledge, a lot of us are screen weary. We long for that in-person community and relationships. And Beeson Divinity School has always emphasized the value of impersonal, incarnational theological education. And our students really, after being away for that short period when everyone was at home doing things online, when they came back, they were more appreciative, I guess I could say. They really appreciated the value of being together in person. And so I thought that the message of the video would resonate especially well at this time. And then, like I already said, our videographer did a wonderful job pulling together the stories of our students to compellingly tell the story of Beeson Divinity School. Just getting the recognition of this award is not only an honor, it's a real honor, but it provides value and credibility to the work that we're doing. When other people hear that we have received an award from the Religion Communicators Council, it gets people excited about the work that we're doing, and it also helps us make the case for the important role that marketing and communication plays at the Divinity School. So I count it not only an honor, but an important part of my job to make sure that our work or the best work that we're doing is submitted to this award competition because, like I said, it does provide such credibility to the work that we're doing. I'm just grateful for the members, especially those who participate as judges. I want to say thank you for recognizing us this year with this award, with this video. We are excited, we're grateful, and I'm looking forward to sharing the good news with all of our constituents.
Our specialty programming class includes such items as podcasts and webinars. Enjoy these 5 category winners.
In the podcast series category, Respecting Religion Season 3 by Sherilyn Crow Guy of Baptist Joint Committee for Religious Liberty.
In the podcast single work category, Season 3, Episode 6, Challenging Misinformation, How to Have Productive Conversations with Friends and Family by Sherilyn Crow Guy of Baptist Joint Committee for Religious Liberty.
In the webinars segment category, Faith and Society Episode 4, Interfaith Dialogue, The Key to Peace and Pluralism by Jonathan K. Ammons and Ryan J. Coe of The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
In the webinars series category, ELCA Advocacy Summer School Sessions by Evangelical Lutheran Church in America.
In the webinars single work category, What is Faith-Based Advocacy by Evangelical Lutheran Church in America.
And the best in class? Respecting Religion, Season 3 by Sherilyn Crow Guy of the Baptist Joint Committee for Religious Liberty.
Oh yay, oh yay, oh yay.
Holly, you know what that sound means.
The Supreme Court is back in session, and so are we for a new season of Respecting Religion.
Welcome to our brand new podcast feed and to Season 3 of Respecting Religion, a BJC podcast series where we talk about religion and the law, including the most significant cases concerning religion and religious liberty at the U.S. Supreme Court. I'm BJC Executive Director Amanda Tyler.
And I'm BJC General Counsel Holly Holman. The court has already ensured that we will have plenty to discuss this season. We'll talk about government funding of religious schools, the religious liberty rights of prisoners, Christian nationalism and flag flying, and the continuing debates about religious exemptions to COVID-19 vaccination mandates.
As lawyers and people of faith, we think these topics deserve respectful conversation, something that we don't always hear in the public square or in our social media feeds.
Please join us for these conversations, and thanks for subscribing to our brand new podcast feed. Let your friends know they can search for Respecting Religion on their favorite podcasting platform to subscribe so they don't miss anything. Episodes from our first 2 seasons are already here. If you like what you've heard from our first 2 seasons, go ahead and leave us a rating or review on this feed.
We can't wait to bring these conversations respecting religion to you. Subscribe and join us for Season 3 of Respecting Religion.
Judges said there is a clear focus for this podcast series, which this judge finds encouraging. The topics all fit clearly within the mission and vision of the program. The 2 hosts are engaging and have a good chemistry. A few words from Sherilyn.
Well, first I have to thank Amanda Tyler and Holly Holman, who serve as the co-host of Respecting Religion. Without their legal knowledge and their willingness to try new things, we could never do this and bring that knowledge they have of the legal issues at the Supreme Court and other courts to audiences in such a conversational way. At BJC, we do a lot of very technical work at the Supreme Court and other issues with Congress, and sometimes the paperwork or the minutia can feel overwhelming and hard to really understand what's at stake and what's at play. So we launched this Respecting Religion podcast to really try to help people have a new avenue to those discussions and those conversations and look at what's happening and what it means to really stand up for religious freedom for everybody in the nation's highest court and other conversations we have in Washington, D.C. And so I was just grateful to come together with Amanda Tyler and Holly Holman to host these conversations and have them in the room to bring conversations we have in the office. When I ask them, what's at stake here? Now everybody can hear them kind of walk you through the issues. And they do it with good humor, with a gentleness that I really appreciate. And it's something that I just think that it's something that as a communicator, I'm always looking for new ways to take one concept and bring them to audiences in the way they want to learn and listen. And this is the way we can do that. So I was glad to submit the Respecting Religion podcast. I'm just really grateful that it's become such a useful tool for so many people. The first time I went to a DeRose-Hinkhouse Awards ceremony, I was really amazed at the depth and breadth and diversity in the religious communicators world. It gave me not only things to listen to and learn from, but things to aspire to. And as I do my own communications work, each year I think to myself, what do I have that not only fits in the DeRose-Hinkhouse Awards category, but would be something that might inspire others or can give me feedback on my work to improve my work individually as well. So I've always appreciated being part of the DeRose-Hinkhouse Awards as an attender and luckily as a sometimes award recipient. I'm so grateful to be part of the Religion Communicators Council and to have made so many friends over the years in that organization, but also to be inspired and challenged by so many people. And I'm just happy to be part of this group, and I'm honored to be receiving this award today.
And that completes all of our publications classes. And before we move on to content, I thought you might wonder who our esteemed judges are and how this process worked. First, we had excellent judges, 35 excellent judges from 14 states and the District of Columbia. Due to the large number of entries, some judges scored 30 or more. This is no small feat considering each entry was scored on 5 or more criteria, and judges gave comments and feedback on every single entry. Yes, that's right. If you entered the competition, you will get extremely valuable feedback from some of the most dedicated and experienced PR professionals in the nation. Some of the judges were RCC members. Be assured, nobody scored work from their own organization. But know that your entries were peer-reviewed and your messages reached a diverse audience. 3 of our members were especially diligent, and I'd like to acknowledge the judges who worked the hardest. Susan Engel, retired from the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States, scored 26 entries. Julie Brinker, Director of Community Affairs for the Church of Scientology in Nashville, scored 30 entries. And Robin LeBron Anders, author and educator for the Spiritual Heritage Education Network, scored 33 entries. Of course, judges also came from the secular world of public relations professionals. Let's have a look at a few of our outstanding panel. Ms. Eileen Ketcher, a PR consultant and university professor and founder of Ketcher Strategic Communications, one of Nashville's top PR firms. Dr. Frank Kaufman, president of the 12 Gates Foundation. Mrs. Deborah Levine, editor-in-chief of the American Diversity Report. Brandy Miner, Chief Communications Officer for the Georgia Association of Realtors. Ms. Lori Whitby, Founder, Whitby Content and Copywriting LLC. Dr. Brenda Wilson, Chair and Professor of Communication and Journalism for the Tennessee Technological University. And Peter Woelfel, Founder of Communication Strategies. Dr. Wilson of Tennessee Tech wanted to share a few words with you tonight.
I had campaigns, from enrichment programs, summer school programs for kids to solving problems in communities like homelessness and food insecurity. So I wasn't aware before judging the competition that there was that much variety in the campaigns. I found it encouraging and inspiring to see professional communicators using their skills to improve their communities and to solve societal problems. And it was just a very heartwarming, I think, activity. I didn't know what to expect, but as I looked at the different campaigns, I was just really encouraged at the work that they're doing. I would say just keep doing what you're doing. Keep using your skills for these types of campaigns for the good work that you're doing. Keep doing that. And I would just say I was impressed by the level of creativity and the different approaches that they took with the whatever tactic they were trying to achieve. Thank you for the opportunity. I did enjoy the experience, getting to see what's going on out there in the world of religious communication.
Now it's time to move into our content group. And first up, we have our category winners for the class, Writing for Periodicals.
In the newspaper, article or story, series category, International Reporting for National Catholic Reporters Global Sisters Report in 2021 by Christopher Herlinger of Global Sisters Report, National Catholic Reporter.
In the newspaper, article or story, single word category, At the End of a Mixed Political Year, Love, Hope, and Faith Abide by Tim McHugh and Alex Franzen of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
In the newspaper, cover or feature item, single word category, FCNL's Growth Anchored in Faith by Adlai J. Amor of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
In the magazine, article or story, single word category, Led by a Star Word by Donna Frischknecht Jackson of Presbyterian Church, USA.
In the magazine, cover or feature item, single word category, Has the Christian Flag Become a Lost Cause? By Brian Kaler and Bo Underwood of Word and Way.
And the best in class? Led by a Star Word by Donna Frischknecht Jackson of Presbyterian Church, USA.
It was the start of a new year, and the faithful gathered in the sanctuary of White Plains Presbyterian Church to celebrate the ancient feast of Epiphany, a day often observed in congregations the Sunday before its official January 6 date. Voices joined in singing We Three Kings of Orient Are, all 5 verses, and listened once again to the scripture lesson of how Magi from faraway lands were led by a brilliant star in the sky to the Christ child. As the service drew to a close, it was now the congregation's turn to be led by a star.
Judges said, I love the concept and the stories of how the stars truly led people to spiritual growth. Great storytelling, giving space and communication to an idea to support spiritual conversations and add a shining meaning to daily life and meditation is a wonderful way to bond a community. Let's hear from Donna.
I would love to thank my ministry colleagues who inspired me to write Led by a Star Word, which won this award. I'm so flattered. I did not think that this story would just resonate with the judges, but thank you. I want to thank my ministry colleagues who, in the Presbyterian system, we don't really observe Epiphany. We haven't traditionally. And I noticed a lot of my colleagues started to do these star words. If you're not familiar with that, it's just basically a construction paper star with a word on it. And at Epiphany, you grab a star and that word will guide you for the rest of the year. And I noticed more of my friends doing that for their congregations. And it just really inspired me to ask them, how did that word impact them? How did they use that word all year? How was it guiding them? Because we never really talk about, the after effect of getting your word. Does that word still resonate with them come June? So I wanted to check in with them and see how they were inspired by their words that they got. And the stories they told me were so inspiring. They were truly being led by the Spirit for the whole year. And that was a guiding word for them. So I want to thank my Presbyterian pastors out in the trenches who were doing this, that really got me asking the question, well, what happens after you get your word? What happens throughout the year? So thank you all to the pastors in the trenches for doing creative things.
In our specialized writing class, we have 3 category winners.
In the editorial series category, Unsettling Advent by Brian Kaler of Word and Way.
In the editorial single word category, Listening for Those Silent Nights by Donna Frischknecht Jackson of Presbyterian Church, USA.
In the non-broadcast script single word category, Supporting Young Women of Color Through the Pentecost Offering by Lauren W. Rogers of Presbyterian Mission Agency.
In the best in class, Listening for Those Silent Nights by Donna Frischknecht Jackson of Presbyterian Church, USA.
I close my eyes and listen to the noises engulfing me. The chattering of conversations, the scraping of metal chairs as people got up from their tables, the crumpling of bags filled with muffins and bagels. Mercifully, the dashing through the snow had ended. What played next, though, startled me. The first few chords were disarmingly soft. Silent night, holy night. My eyes remained closed as I breathed deeply. I could see in my mind's eye an illuminated manger. I could see a vulnerable baby who was the Savior born for all humankind. I could see the calm of that night.
Judges said, "All I can say is wow. Beautiful, engaging the imagination and the heart. So totally encapsulated how the best of the pandemic was to cause us to slow down and spend time with God and our families. I couldn't agree more." Once again, let's hear from Donna.
It's going to sound corny perhaps, but I really want to thank the Holy Spirit, the way the Spirit works, because that editorial was inspired by just being in the moment and listening to all that was going on around me in the airport as I write about, and just being in this flurry of activity. And then all of a sudden, Silent Night began playing, and it was, as I wrote, so surreal. So I guess my apologies to everybody if it sounds corny, but I want to thank the Holy Spirit for just prodding me and making me alert to what was really happening around me. I wanted to enter this listening to those silent nights because for me, the first Christmas in pandemic was different. It was quiet, it was silent, and it was really profound, and it really moved me. And so that Christmas, the next Christmas, I was serving a church, and sure enough, we had Christmas Eve service, but a part of me wanted to be back in the silence of that night, back in the woods without all the trappings of traditional church. And so I guess it was important to me to submit this because I was really revealing what was on my heart and the struggle that I was having with getting back to traditional in-person worship and perhaps having a different kind of Christmas out in the woods with the silence and the importance of having that silence in our lives. The awards have shaped my career by really making me up my game, I guess. Every time I do submit a story, the judges give great feedback. Whether you win or lose, you do get feedback. And that feedback I take to heart. And over the years, the judges, my peers, their recommendations or their observations in terms of my writing has really helped me perfect my craft. So I guess part of me now likes to submit articles to the DeRose Awards because not only, of course you want to win, but a part of me likes submitting my work just to get that constructive criticism because it really does help my craft. So once again, thank you, judges, for recognizing my work. It really means a lot to me, and you just keep inspiring me to keep telling the God stories that are out there. So thank you.
I was very happy to see 6 category winners in our artwork class. In the Photography, Article or Story series category, Smoke and Fire by Brian Kaler of Word and Way.
In the Photography, Article or Story single work category, Persevering in Ministry During Challenging Times by Kristen Padilla, Stephanie Patterson, and Scott Camp of Beeson Divinity School of Samford University.
In the Photography, Cover or Feature single work category, Persevering Through Challenging Times Beeson Magazine Cover by Kristen Padilla, Stephanie Douglas, and Scott Camp of Beeson Divinity School of Samford University.
In the Videography, Article or Story single work category, Beyond the Pages by Donna Frischknecht Jackson of Presbyterian Church USA.
In the Illustration, Article or Story single work category, Illustration, Study, Consultation, Action, Reflection by Jonathan Amen and Harry Warren of U.S. Baha'i National Center.
In the Illustration, Cover or Feature single work category, Islamic Chaplaincy, Past, Present, and Future by Stephen Haviera of Hartford International University for Religion and Peace.
And the best in class? Islamic Chaplaincy, Past, Present, and Future by Stephen Haviera of the Hartford International University for Religion and Peace. Judges said, "This is an excellent cover design. Beyond simply celebrating the Islamic Chaplaincy Program's 20th anniversary, elements of the image embrace symbols of the faith while reflecting the diversity of the faithful and the program's founder. Thank you for the care taken to communicate visually in such a nuanced way about the Islamic Chaplaincy Program. This entry has really impressed me and brought me refreshed inspiration. It demonstrates the commitment by the designer in Hartford to celebrate one part of its community, as well as the fuller sense of its wider one. Well done." And now, a few words from Stephen Haviera.
Winning this award is such an honor, and there's a lot of people to thank, but I'll first start with Hartford International University. The work that I get to do here on a daily basis is completely inspiring and informs everything I do creatively. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank our President Joel Orr, and the Director of Communications here, Susan Schoenberger. This particular piece that I entered, it was a very special magazine for us here at HIU. It was we put out 2 magazines a year, and this is the Alumni magazine, and it was special because it's the 20th anniversary of our Islamic Chaplaincy Program. The program itself was established in 2001 and was the first of its kind in this country. It served as a new way to establish Muslim leadership, and specifically was influential and important to women in the Muslim community. So that informed a lot of my design. In the cover that you see a woman in a traditional hijab holding the light of hope in the future, and those were just some of the themes that I wanted to convey, and using those themes as well as looking at the source materials of old Qurans and the colors and textures. I really just wanted to emulate that feeling of importance and it being special. I've been fortunate in the last few years to enter this contest and win in some categories of design and media and video. And winning is an honor every time I'm acknowledged or recognized. And really, the special nature of it is I get to see what my peers and other organizations are doing. And that not only inspires, but it informs my work to keep on working, keep on getting our message out there and working on my craft and trying to get better at what I do. So it's informed a lot of my passion creatively. HIU, we're a smaller organization here, and we're always trying to stand out and be unique and trying to put good out into our world and society. So, when we're honored with the recognition by the RCC, it's important because it encourages myself and others here at HIU to keep trying to make the effort to make an impact on the world in a meaningful way.
Our design class has 3 category winners.
In the Publication Design, Article or Story single work category, Sharing Food and a Future by Greengate Marketing.
In the publication design, cover or feature, single work category, 2021 Annual Report of the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States by Richard Doring of U.S. Baha'i National Center.
In the Logos and Branding, single work category, FCNL Brand Standards 2021 by Adlai Amor and Wesley Wolfbear Pinkham of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
In the Best in Class, 2021 Annual Report of the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States by Richard Doring of the U.S. Baha'i National Center. Judges said all photos not only represent the Baha'i National Organization literally, but figuratively as well. I am looking at beautiful art, excellent and dramatic, that portrays the values and the work of this organization. And now, here is Rick Doring.
I'm very grateful to the 9 members of our National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States, especially Kenneth Bowers, the Secretary of the Assembly. In addition to that, the project lead was Thomas Murphy, and his assistant editors and writers were Bud Humphrey and Chris Carpenter. Also want to send thanks out to Liz Hirth and Mary Beth Varga for their support with statistics and maps, which formed a lot of the core of the annual report, and also to the 12 regional Baha'i councils throughout the United States who submitted reports for the annual report. So, by the way, Tom Murphy just recently retired, so this is really quite a nice feather in his cap. The annual report represents the culmination of not only the year 2021 for the growth of the Baha'i faith in the United States, but also it represents the culmination of a 25-year-long series of plans that we've been given by the supreme governing body of the Baha'i faith, which is called the Universal House of Justice. So it really represents the growth and development over a long period of time, not just the single year. So I think it also stood out for that reason. I'd really like to thank the judges for the sacrifice of their time and effort in judging the entries. I really appreciate that, as having been a judge myself last year. I know that it's a difficult process to go through all the entries and be dispassionate about the content and also be equitable in their judgment. So there's an ideal in the Baha'i faith which is called trying to aspire to be a servant of the servants of God. And I think they embody that ideal. So I'd like to give them a very warm thank you for that.
And that wraps our content classes and takes us to our final class group, campaigns. Campaigns are the heart and soul of public relations. If content is king, campaigns are the queens. And by that, I mean they rule the realm. The senses of the general public are bombarded daily with sights, sounds, and signals of all sorts. It takes research, planning, testing, evaluation, and a sheer enormity of experience and expertise just to get a message across. Double that if you want it understood, and compound it if you want someone to act. Well, let me tell you, we have members who are masters at PR campaigns. And what makes RCC special is that we're not selling soap or mortgage to borrow. We're selling hope for a better tomorrow. And with that, let's review the work of our seasoned professionals. Our campaigns class has 4 category winners. In the public awareness category, National Aging Out of Foster Care Awareness Day by Buckner International.
In the community relations category, International Day of Human Fraternity 2021 by Juan de la Torre of La Machi Comunicación para Buenas Causas.
In the fundraising category, Giving Tuesday 2021 for the Presbyterian Church USA by Lauren W. Rogers of Presbyterian Mission Agency.
In the Specialized Campaigns category, Summer of Song by Lauren W. Rogers of Presbyterian Mission Agency.
And the Best in Class, National Aging Out of Foster Care Awareness Day by Buckner International.
I was in the foster care system for approximately 4 years. At the age of 18, I got pregnant with my son. I decided to go ahead and stay in foster care at that point. I went into aftercare services. Aging out of foster care at the age of 20, they helped coordinate services for me as far as like obtaining housing. I did go to cosmetology school and I finished that with my 1,500 hours. At that point, I decided I no longer wanted to be in foster care. I had left where I found myself actually homeless once again. Actually, my Buckner caseworker had helped me obtain housing, stayed in the house. I'm still in the house, have not been homeless since. Now hooking other people up with services.
Judges said the concept was well done and very target audience focused. Radio and TV outreach also added to the overall efforts of this package. The Hear Their Stories videos were powerfully authentic and from the heart. Tonight, Buckner is represented by Kayla Salzman.
The entire Buckner International Communications team really contributed to this campaign. They worked very hard with me as we worked through processes of interviews and content gathering, content creation. We all worked extremely hard on this campaign to make it happen, as it's something near and dear to all of our hearts. We decided to enter the National Aging Out of Foster Care Awareness Day campaign into the RCC Awards because we thought it was a campaign that truly showed something new and something that we'd never seen created before in terms of bringing awareness to teens that will no longer be in the foster care system. They will be stepping out and transitioning into adulthood. And with the copious amounts of programs that are available to them nationwide, we have yet to find a site or any other program that truly just shows them these are available to you in every single state, or here are the resources that you have when applying for college, when trying to go into that trade school. You have financial opportunities, you have these other resources that are there to help you and designed for your success. And so creating this campaign and truly showing people this is important. That's why we decided to submit. This is honestly just such an encouragement to my personal career and to the rest of the Buckner International Communications team. We are able to see our work and have it be recognized for the incredible process that it took to get there, that the steps that we took and the objectives that we planned, the tactics we used, everything that went into a campaign is being recognized. And that is something that is so special and truly an encouragement to keep pushing forward and to know that what we're doing is good. I would tell people to not be afraid to submit your work. I personally entered this year because it was something that my boss wanted me to do, honestly. He told me this is really good work and he wanted this campaign to be recognized, and here we are. And so having the motivation to keep going and the recognition is so incredibly awesome. And so I would just say to not be afraid to be proud of your work and be proud of how you are serving your community.
Now we have one more presentation to make. I'm very happy to award a Best of Show. There was one entry that scored extremely high. In fact, I have never before seen an entry get a string of 100s across every criteria. A simple piece with a deeply profound message and impact, judges said, "It's truly a centering moment in a world of distraction and busyness. Thank you for this inspirational and beautifully written article. Excellent from first to last. This piece represents a way to break through an old liturgical signpost by taking seriously the text. A star led them to the place where Jesus lay." Miss Jackson's articles tend to flow very well. She can truly put the reader into someone else's shoes. And yes, the winner is Donna Frischknecht Jackson for her article, Led by a Star Word. You've already seen the article. Here are a few more words from Donna.
I would love to tell the members of RCC to just continue to find the silences in your life and to really be aware of all the God stories that are around us, because we communicators, we have a really important job in this world where it's just so crazy and so much negativity. I really do believe that RCC members, we have a task to really shine the light on God and share the stories of our faith and how it's really impacting the world in a good way. So I guess just keep on writing and shining the light on God and doing the best that you can do.
That brings tonight's program to a close. Congratulations to all the winners. The Best in Class trophies will ship to your doorstep, and all entrants will receive an email telling you how to log in for your certificates and all of your feedback. We all need to thank again all of our judges. When someone takes the time to thoughtfully review another's creation and provide feedback and suggestions, that is time spent lifting up the people who are lifting up the world. I also want to thank the RCC Board of Governors for the work you have done this year to keep the organization here and moving forward for future generations. As you heard tonight, we communicators, we have a really important job. We have a task to shine the light on God and share the stories of our faiths and how they are really impacting the world in a good way. To you who are watching, just the fact that you have been with us through this program tells me you are with us in the most important race we run. The race for humanity, dignity, justice, and liberty. The race for hope, help, and happiness. The race to commune with and meet our Maker, and the race for eternal freedom. Stay with us. Stay the course. Every accomplishment you make moves every race in the race of humankind further toward the light and the truth. Your work is that important. Blessings to you as you carry on.